I've worked with over 180 sports coaches, teaching them how to expand their training businesses online, and scaled my own online training business to over $32,000 a month in just 10 months. This past weekend, I hosted an in-person event at my place here in Scottsdale, Arizona, with coaches who were just starting out online and coaches that were already doing over $100,000 a month. In this video, I'm going to share my biggest takeaways from the event. Number one is that mindset is everybody's challenge. We went around the room at the beginning of the event and we asked everybody what was their bottleneck. And some people were talking about how online training programs, and they were, not really sure how to build their online training program. And some people thought that, they didn't have motivation to continue to expand, right? And the more I asked questions and the more I asked these people what their biggest bottlenecks were, it actually all came back to mindset. And let me explain. So I have a coach in my program who's, I think he's like 50 years old. He's trained a ton of athletes in person. He's got, over 1,000 college commitments, and he wants to expand his training business online. And when I asked him what his biggest bottleneck was, he said that it was creating an online training program that was actually good for athletes. And we got down to the bottleneck of it, the real root of the problem. And he was actually afraid that he wasn't going to be able to create an online training program that was actually beneficial for his athletes. And so when you look at that, when you look at the word afraid, when you look at the word fear, right? That has nothing to do with tactics. That has nothing to do with clicking buttons or knowing what platform to use or anything like that. It is literally all a mindset thing. And so after I really spoke with him, I was like, man, like if all these other people are able to create online training programs with less credibility, not as much experience, and they don't care as much about their athletes as you say you do, what makes you think that you couldn't do the exact same thing? And he's like, you know what, you're right. And I was like, exactly. And so kind of switched his mindset to understand that he is more than credible. He is more than enough. He is capable of training athletes online, but he was afraid of ruining his reputation by creating an online training program and not giving people the actual results, right? And the main reason why he was afraid is because he's never done it before, right? He's uncomfortable with the idea. But if other people are doing it and he's a really good coach and he sees other people having success, then why couldn't he, right? And so it just took that little mindset tweak for him to understand that the only thing holding him back from actually blowing up on social media, right? He's gonna take over. He's gonna be one of the biggest online coaches out there, right? The only thing holding him back was his fear of other people thinking he wasn't good, right? And the only way that you can actually get good at training athletes online is to, guess what? Train athletes online. And maybe that means you have to let them in for a discount at first. And maybe that means you have to build the program as you go. But the biggest thing that we could take away from that story is that it was his mindset, right? I had another client come to me who their best month in business thus far was $25K, but that was back in May. And at the time of recording this, it's October. And he was like, dude, I've been in a slump. Like, I'm really not closing deals like I want. Like, we're nowhere close to where I want to be. And so I asked him, well, what do you want? He's like, dude, honestly, I'm not sure. Like, it would be cool to kind of get back up to where we were and, I don't know, just see where we go from there. And he was like, I lack motivation. I feel like I'm not doing anything, blah, blah, blah. And I kind of just threw it back in his face. I was like, well, if you're not working towards anything, if you don't have a clear-cut goal, if you don't have a big vision in mind, what makes you think that you're actually going to have motivation to get up and work? You just made 25 grand a few months ago online. And you never even knew that that was possible. So for you, you're kind of playing in the big leagues right now. And so why would you be motivated? Why would you have any sort of, excitement to get up and work when you feel like you just reached the top of the mountain, right? And so I challenged him. I was like, look, you need to create a vision. You need to create a long-term vision of what you really want, because that is what's going to motivate you. Because if you don't have a clear-cut vision of what you want, if you don't have a clear-cut goal or what direction you're going, you're always going to feel lost. You're always going to feel anxious. You might even feel depressed because you feel like you have no purpose in life, right? People that feel anxious, people that feel depressed, they feel like they don't know what to do and they have no hope, right? And so if you can create a clear-cut path to get to exactly where you want to get to, your mind will free up. All of a sudden, you'll have way more motivation. You'll have way more discipline to stay on task because now you're actually building towards something. And I think as a man, one of the things that is one of the best parts about being a man is building something, is working towards something and providing for people around us, giving other people experiences. And when you're not working towards something like that, you kind of get stripped of your manhood because life is almost too easy, right? And so I challenged him, and he just got back home and closed another deal. So be on the lookout for my guy, my guy Jordan. If you're watching this right now, if you're not striving for $100K a month, you are selling yourself short, okay? So that's number one, the mindset. Number two is that a strong community breeds the best results, okay? And it's, as a remote company or as a remote worker, like I'm sitting here in my living room, I live alone, and all I do is work, right? And sometimes I can kind of get caught up in, living in the day to day and getting caught up in the weeds of like, oh, what are our conversion numbers? How are my ads performing? How is my content performing? What is my team telling me? Things like that. And I kind of can get a little bit distant from the community, and not so much like that they can't talk to me and different things like that. I'm very engaged in the community, but more emotionally, I can kind of get emotionally distant from the community, right? And after having 15 of my clients in here, 20 total people at one time, which was absolutely insane, right? And as you can see, it's not a very big space. I mean, it's pretty spacious. It's pretty nice, if I do say so myself, but like I was able to really, really learn and understand these people's stories. And going back to the beginning of the weekend, right? We had everybody introduce themselves and tell their stories. And some people felt very, very, grateful for the opportunities that we've been able to provide them, and the information and the community and the environment that we've created for them to be themselves, right? And so a strong community is going to breed the most results because most of these people are weirdos when they go back home, right? They're telling people they want to train athletes online. And in 5 years, it's going to be normal. But today, it's weird. And so for them, they feel a little bit like an outsider. And it's difficult to keep that motivation when you don't see other people directly right in front of you going through the same stuff. And then, when we get in our community and we have the Wins channel and we have some very successful clients who will, say they've had huge months, it's very easy to get discouraged because you see these other people and you're like, oh, I'll never hit $50,000 a month or, whatever, right? It doesn't even have to be monetary. It could just be growing your social media following. It could just be quitting your 9-to-5 job. It could just be doing less in-person lessons so you can spend more time with your family, right? But when you're surrounded by a bunch of people who are doing the exact same thing and you can touch them and you shake their hands and you look them in the eye and you see their story, you hear their story, you know their background, it makes it a little bit more real for you, right? And so creating that strong community for people to not only be themselves, but to also kind of police each other and hold each other accountable and say, look, if I can do it, so can you. And they all realize that they're going through the exact same problems at the exact same time. And it helps them push through those difficult times a little bit more. And so the biggest thing that I learned with that is that when you build a strong community, it'll breed the most results. Okay. So number 3 is to give back to those who trusted in you. So when I was putting on this event and I start running the numbers and seeing how much money, quite frankly, I'm going to spend on it, I spent, multiple 5 figures to put on this event. And I promise you, I did not make that much money on it. I lost over 5 figures on this event, over 10 grand. I lost, right? And I was really tweaking about it because obviously, like, I'm a business guy. I want to always progress. I want to always move forward, right? And like I said, sometimes I can kind of get caught up in what the bottom line says, right? What the profit margins are. And, I decided, I'm going to invest in this event. And I thought that, it's more of an investment than anything else, right? I may not see an immediate return for putting on this event, but it's going to be worth it, right? And so I hired a professional videographer, and he did an amazing job. There are some great reels out on my Instagram. And then also, I think we're going to be doing some YouTube videos as well. And I might even hire him for the long term, right? But I spent a bunch of money on that. I spent multiple 4 figures on dinner. I spent almost 10 grand on dinner on the 3 days, right? And the reason why I did that is because I wanted to show my clients that, just because they paid me, right, doesn't mean that I'm not going to give it back to them. The money that they paid me, I used to give back to them and show them a great experience and show them a great time and show them what's possible. Because most of these people had never been to a super nice steak dinner where we got a private room and we had a 4-course or a 5-course meal and it was an open bar and all this stuff. And like, I just took care of it. I just took care of the bill. I was like, I don't care what it is. I'll pay it. Right? Not because I wanted to sit there and flex and be like, look how rich I am, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Right? I wanted to show them what's possible and provide them with these experiences. And as a result, they were so incredibly grateful. And that, to me, is worth way more money than anything that they could ever pay me. And so just giving these people the experiences and giving them opportunities and showing them what's possible and, bringing them into my place, right? Like I live in a penthouse in Scottsdale. I probably overplay that so much, but yeah, I live in a really nice place in Scottsdale. And, they'd go out on my balcony and check out the view, and they're like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. And then, we have the professional videographer, and then we go to super fancy dinners and it's all on me. And, they just saw how much I really cared about them. Right? Because at the end of the day, I don't want to get rich if it doesn't mean that I'm not actually helping people. I will not get rich at the expense of actually doing a good service for the world. I want to get rich because I helped that many people, because I changed that many lives. And I wanted to give back to those who trusted in me, who came to my house, had no idea what to expect from this event, and they trusted me enough to come here. A random stranger they met on the internet, right? So give back to those who trusted in you. And then number 4, relationships are what's going to drive your business forward. So this goes twofold, right? The first night that I was here, I had 2 of my team members. We sat out on my balcony and talked about, what we really wanted out of life and what we really wanted, our business to look like. And I think it was an incredible experience for me because I got to know them a little bit deeper, on a little bit deeper of a level, and the motivations and what makes them tick, right? And I think those things not only help me as a leader to know how to properly incentivize them or know how to properly manage them or know how to properly lead them, but also I think we got really clear on what our alignment is and what our mission is and what we're actually trying to do here and what this business looks like in 3, 5, 10 years. And just building that relationship with these people and seeing how bought in they are to the vision that I've painted. I want to continue to take care of these people and show them that, like, hey, you guys are the ones building the business. I'm the one with the vision, right? This is what direction we're going. But at the end of the day, the business is only as good as the people that work inside of it, right? And so I want to continue to develop deep, meaningful relationships with my team members so that way they not only know that, hey, I'm going to invest in you and I believe in you and I'm going to, take time and understand who you are as a person, but also, these are the people that are actually in my business in the day-to-day, right? My team members are on calls with potential clients and clients right now while I make this video. And so I need to make sure that they are people who know that I, have their back and that they can trust me and I can trust them. And then on the flip side of that with the clients, some of the relationships that I developed with my clients this weekend, they're going to, selfishly, they're going to refer me, right? They're going to refer me to their friends because of how much I've changed their life, because of how much I've showed them I care, because of how much time, effort, and attention I've put into that relationship, right? Because it's one thing to just come into my program and, do the course and take the calls and get on the coaching calls and blah, blah, blah. Like, we have a bunch of great stuff. It's a great program, right? But it's another thing to go the extra mile and ask people about their family, about their motivations, about, why they really bought this program and just developing a real personal connection with them. because that's what's going to help them get better results. It's going to help them actually listen to me, right? Because I know what they should be doing, but nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so I want to show these people how much I care, right? And lead with, hey, I'm going to care about you first. I'm going to ask about you. I'm going to ask about you as a person, you as a human being. And that way it gives me context to understand why they behave the way that they do, and I can lead them better. I can help align our incentives. And so that way we all win together, right? But it's not just transactional. It's not just about, who can pay me the most money, right? Who's going to give me the most referrals? Who's going to get the best results? Sure, those things are very important to the business growth, but I'm learning that there's a way to maximize that. And so I want to continue to do in-person events every single quarter because of how powerful this was. Even though I lost money on it, I want to continue to run these events because I want to give people opportunities to have the network, to have the community, to develop relationships, to change the way they think and really see what's possible. Because at the end of the day, the only difference between you right now and where you want to be is just doing the work that's required to actually get there. And sometimes it takes a mindset change, or sometimes it takes being networked with somebody who's already where you want to be. And so if you got nothing else from this video, it's that I learned a ton from this in-person event. I'm going to be dumping all of my time, effort, and attention into relationships, building the community, and continuing to grow, as a man and as a leader with the people who have trusted in me most. Catch you in the next one.